All right, guys. I know that there has been quite a bit of a bit of ridiculous back and forth between Snyder fans and non-Snyder fans the last few days, specifically because of comments made by John Campea. Now, John Campea, if you don't know, which I don't know how you don't know, for the last 10, 15 years has been a YouTube presence where he talks about pop culture, movies, television, comic book movies, comic books, all that kind of stuff. He started off as a blog writer back in the early 2000s and worked his way into doing YouTube when YouTube started getting big and doing podcasts and all that stuff. He did AMC Movie Talk, Collider Movie Talk, and now he has his own show called The John Campea Show. Now, people are upset. People are upset about his comments about the Snyderverse and what's going on with the Snyderverse. Now, I sat there yesterday and I said, should I do a video about Campea's comments and how a certain fan base is losing their minds? I have always said about my channel is, hey, this is for the fans. This is for my viewers, the people who actually do view my channel. This channel is for you. I will do commentary. I will talk about stuff that you guys want to watch. Yeah, I do videos that I think are cool too and funny and stuff like that, but I will ask my viewers quite often. You can go on my community on YouTube. You will go on my show. I ask you guys all the time, hey, do you want me to do videos, or what kind of videos do you want me to do? So I asked if you guys wanted me to do it. And obviously, I get people saying, move on already, you're obsessed. And I go, haha, that makes me want to do it more. Telling me it makes me look bad. But I get a lot of people saying, yes, go for it. Yes, go for it. Sounds like engagement farming. No need for it. A whole bunch of people saying yes, people saying no. Look, it is what it is. If I get 10 views, I get 10 views. If I get 1,000 views, I get 1,000. If I get 40,000 views, I get 40,000 views. It doesn't matter to me. That's what people don't understand when it comes to my YouTube channel. I have a real job. I got a real job that I'm making money from. This is a hobby for me. If at some point in time I make a crap ton of money doing YouTube, awesome. But this is a hobby for me. This is what I love to do. So, look, this isn't anything that I'm trying to be massively successful with. I'm just having fun with it. And I asked my fans, and more said yes to do it than not. So guess what? I'm doing it. So here we are. So if you're not aware, John Campea does a little thing on his show where he asks fans to send in questions. And you have to pay him money to ask questions, but they send in money and they tip in and they ask him some questions. And one of the questions was this.
Hey, John, Superman is my most anticipated film for DC in years, and I have a question. We know the Snyder Fandom have not been kind to the film, even though they haven't seen it yet, and DC Studios. Do you think they have every right to stay bitter on WB due to what happened to Zack Snyder? Nothing happened to Zack Snyder. Nobody has a right to...
They're asking him, does the Snyder Fandom have the right to be bitter towards Warner Brothers for what happened to Zack Snyder? Now, John Campea, I'm going to play it here, but he goes into a terrific discussion. No, I won't even say discussion. A rant. He goes into a terrific rant on explaining why the Snyder fan base needs to just shut up. Needs to shut up. It's something that I've been saying for months, if not years, at this point. Now, I want to preface this. For me, on my side, I say this all the time. I was on the forefront of pushing for the Snyder Cut. I was very big on Restore the Snyderverse. I still am. I would love to see the remaining films and story of the Snyderverse. Absolutely. I would love to see it. But the fact of the matter is, all of this hatred that the fandom has for Warner Brothers and everything like that is unwarranted. It's unwarranted. And this fan base has twisted and turned into so much negativity and hatred. It's not what it once was. And that's why I stepped away and stepped out of the fan base, because of what it had become. Now, John Campea, I actually, on my old channel, Bridging the Geekdoms, I quite a few times made videos against him because he was calling out the Snyder Cut, saying it never existed and saying that it's foolish and stuff like that. I made videos against him. I did. Because I was like, whoa, what are you talking about, man? There is definitely the Snyder Cut, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But let's face it. I know, watching Campea's stuff many of times through my YouTube watching life, I know that he's been a big fan of Man of Steel. I know that he likes Henry Cavill. And I know that he enjoys many of Zack Snyder's films. So to sit there and for people to call him out because, oh, we can't trust what he says because he's not a Snyder for blah, 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 blah. All right. You need to listen to his words, take out his personal feelings from it, because that's something that people can't do. They can't take out what people's personal feelings are and listen to the truth and the fact of the matter. They always go, well, John Campea hated Rebel Moon, so he hates Zack Snyder, or he hated Sucker Punch, so he hates Zack Snyder. No, take all that crap out and listen to the facts. So listen to it here.
To be mad about anything. It has nothing to fucking do with you. Get over it. Nothing, like literally Zack Snyder. And listen, I say this as a massive Zack Snyder defender because, okay, forget Rebel Moon. Okay, take Rebel Moon out of it.
Please take Rebel Moon out of it.
And all of his filmography, there's only one movie Zack Snyder's made that I didn't really like, and that was Sucker Punch. I've liked or loved every single other of his movies.
Sucker Punch wasn't great. Wasn't
particularly, good. Of course, Man of Steel.
Man of Steel, greatest movie ever.
He's just a director. It's not his movies.
All right.
Never is. It's the studio's movies. Correct. He was hired just like any director, just like Peyton Reed was hired to come in and make Ant-Man. Ant-Man doesn't suddenly belong to Peyton Reed. He came in, and look, the reality is, as it doesn't matter how much I loved Man of Steel or Batman versus Superman or whatever, the reality is a whole hell of a lot of the audience did not.
Yep.
That's just the reality. Now, if you want to be butthurt and act like I get disappointed too when things I like gets canceled, but oh well, then you move on. You want to get butthurt as if this was some kind of personal affront? I don't know. To me, it's absolutely pathetic. Anyway.
Perfect. He says it perfectly there. I mean, there's nothing else that you can say. You can get upset that Zack Snyder didn't get to finish the Snyderverse. Absolutely. Be upset. That's your prerogative. You can be upset. But to be upset at Warner Brothers for that's stupid. Now, here's the thing. You then have people that sit here and go...
Next up.
Oh, let me shut that off. That sit there and say, I won't let y'all gaslight anyone as if Zack and the actors weren't mishandled and mistreated by Warner Brothers execs and management. That being said, the problem is you guys tell Snyder fans to move on while simultaneously dissing the Snyderverse. You can't have your cake and eat it too. First off, I don't know what this guy is trying to say here. First off, let's talk first off here. No one is gaslighting trying to say that Zack and the actors weren't mistreated. I haven't talked to anybody who hasn't stated or agreed that what has happened, the proof that has come out, the truth that has come out, no one has said, oh, you're right, they were mistreated. All right. If anybody hears and knows the facts of the truth, they will say, absolutely, Zack was mistreated, the cast was mistreated. If they hear the truth of the facts, if they know the truth and the facts, they will completely agree that they were mistreated. 100%. I've never heard anybody sit there and say, well, Zack's a terrible director, so I don't care how he... No. I've never heard anybody say, well, yeah, he was definitely mistreated. He was mistreated, okay? Absolutely. Same with the cast. But you have to remember that regime was 3 regimes ago. We have that regime from 2016, 2017, left in 2017. Then there was a new regime that came in. That regime left in 2022. And now we have a new regime. So to be mad at this current regime, the one of David Zaslav and everybody there, and then DC Studios with Peter Safran and James Gunn and everybody there, that's foolish. That's ignorant. That is dumb. That is pathetic. So that's number one. So when John Campea sits here and says to be mad at the studio right now is pathetic, he's right. There's no reason to be upset at the studio. It is pathetic. It is stupid. So that's number one. Nobody has ever said, and if there are people that are saying it, they're idiots. Okay? Let's just point that out. People who sit there and say that Zack deserved it or the actors deserved it, they're idiots. They're stupid. They have terrible reasoning and understanding of the situation, and they don't deserve anything. They're stupid if they say they deserved it. Number one. Number two, the people who say that Snyder fans have to move on, that's being said because of how much toxicity and ridiculousness has come out of the Snyder fandom. If the Snyder fandom had not turned to being such toxic assholes, there would not be those people sitting there saying, move on. Okay? People would be sitting there saying, oh, there's those cute little kids over there trying to get their universe back. That's whatever. That's cool. But because you can't detach what happened in 2016, 2017 from this current regime, nor the last regime, because you mistreated the last regime as well. Because of that, you have become such a toxic fan base, such a disgusting fan base, that nobody wants to hear it anymore. Nobody wants to see your hashtags. Nobody wants to hear why Snyder deserves to finish his story. Nobody wants to hear any of it. Nobody does. So that's why people constantly say, move on. That's why. Here's the thing. If you had a reasonable ask, if you had something that was reasonable, not something that would cost a studio upwards of $200 to $300 to $400 million, or ask Netflix to spend $1 billion to license out the IP plus make the movies plus market the movies. If you had a reasonable ask that was honorable, respectful, and you didn't spout Warner Brothers sucks and boycott this and boycott that and DCU is going to fail and fire James Gunn and all that stuff, if you didn't do any of that other bullcrap, people would not be sitting here saying, move on. People wouldn't be sitting here saying, oh, look at this toxic fan base. Sure, you might have some outliers saying that because they're assholes too. Because let's face it, there's assholes on all sides. Always are. But that's the truth. But you don't want to hear it. You don't want to accept that that's the fact, that that's the truth. That's all there is to it. And I try to go down the list. I try to go down that list and explain this to everybody on X all the time. And I've made countless videos. All in all, the Snyder fandom is the one that has made the DC fandom unfun. James Gunn was brought in to try and make the DC fandom fun again. Tried to make DC fun again. There's a reason why they're making such a massive shift like they are with the films. It's because of you. It's because of you and your fandom. Do you not realize that? Sit back and think about that a little bit. And before you all sit there and say, well, that's what you get because of how you all treated us in 2016 when Batman v Superman was coming out. That's bullshit. It's bullshit. Because yes, there's always infighting within fandoms. 100%. There's always infighting. Because you're always going to have a section of fans that want something different than what other fans want. That's how it always is. Okay? Star Wars fans, Marvel fans. But take a look at Marvel for a second. While Marvel isn't doing great, take a look at the last 15 years. The fandom was pretty tight from start to finish, or to now. Sure, there were people that were like, it's not for me, it's all formulaic, it's all this, it's all that. But it was still a pretty tight fandom. Sure, there were people outside the fandom that would criticize it, but the fandom, for the most part, was pretty tight. Even now, with how much Marvel has been fumbling around, the fandom's pretty tight on, man, they're fumbling it around. They need to get back on track. The DC fandom isn't like that. The DC fandom back in 2016, sure, it was still pretty tight. People were still curious, even though they're like, what Zack Snyder's doing isn't for me, but let's see what they can do. We're excited about what's coming. And then it was just, nope, not for me, not for me, not for me. It still wasn't great, and then things started to open up, but there was just no vision. Now with the DCU, people are excited, but the ones that should be excited, the ones that should be like, okay, I love DC in 2013, let's get it. Nope. You've turned it around, and you've made it even worse than it ever was before. Why? Well, you blame Warner Brothers. You blame what happened to Zack Snyder 15 or 10 years ago. You blame the fans. You blame everybody. Step back. Step back. Let go of the past and look towards the future. You don't have to like what James Gunn does. You don't have to like it. Hell, just be hopeful. That's all you need to do. That's all you have to do. It's crazy to me that people sit here and act like, well, it's all the fault of Warner Brothers. It's all the fault of Walter Hamada. It's all the fault of Toby Emmerich. It's all the fault of Jeff Johns. None of those people are around anymore. Get over it. Oh, it's not my Superman. I'm not going to like Superman. Who the hell cares? Give it a shot. You may be surprised. You may not like it. And if you don't like it, you still have Man of Steel to go and watch. You still have 1978 Superman the movie. You still have Smallville. That's like one of the things I always say is, like, I love Man of Steel. It's my favorite comic book movie. I'm looking forward to Superman. And I'm going to go watch Superman. If it doesn't reach the heights of Man of Steel, okay. Is it a good movie? I hope it is. And if it is a good movie, awesome. But it doesn't have to meet the heights of Man of Steel. Because I have Man of Steel. I can always go back and watch Man of Steel and love it and enjoy it. Superman, as long as it's a good movie, I'm happy. As long as it's a great movie, I'm even more happy. As long as it builds this universe, I'm happy. Stop putting things on this pedestal. Stop trying to put things on a pedestal that it has to be better than it was before. Stop trying to act like everything has to be compared to one another. It doesn't. Maybe, just maybe, you'll have a better outlook on life, better outlook on things that you might look forward to. Maybe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you have to say, what you have to think. Yeah, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you so choose. I know if any Snyder fans are listening to this or watching this, you probably definitely aren't going to like this video. Hit that dislike button. I don't care. Whatever. Do that. Yell at me in the comments. More power to you. Look, this whole thing is getting out of hand. I personally just don't understand why there has to be so much hate and divisiveness. I don't get it. Like, enough is enough. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, why do you want something to fail so bad? It's pathetic. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. Oh, well, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and with all that said, I'll catch you all later.